Today's episode is sponsored by our good friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Check out their Facebook live auctions on amazing deals on back issues and action figures. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Codename YouTube Hero 2. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu Are You. Well, we're actually going to leapfrog a couple offerings or recaps to focus in on something that just came out this week. And I'm talking about the 40th anniversary special of G.I. Joe from IDW. A few months back, we got a little bit of a sneak peek when Larry Hama dropped this wonderful cover art for this issue, and boy, did that get my attention. I mean, to have an original Larry Hama anything at this stage in the game is a treat. It's something to be treasured, and I totally understand the hype and the buzz around this issue. So we're going to look at this like we do at normal one-shots that IDW offers. We're not going to do a panel-to-panel or retelling or recap because it's essentially the silent issue done with guest contributors. So this is something that we saw done during that shit show known as the Rob Liefeld Snake Eyes Dead Game series. So that's what Rob Liefeld was doing, and he invited guest people to draw page to page to, I guess, interpret his work. So that came out to be that thing. And the art was great, don't get me wrong, but, you know, we talked about this in those recaps. That entire Snake Eyes Dead Game thing was, I felt bad that Snake Eyes was subject to that. So let's put it that way. So if you haven't watched those or seen those, definitely go back and watch those. It's one of my most popular videos because you could just see how painful it was for me to recap those issues, to go through them. And there were six issues, so it was 6 times the pain and just kept on getting worse. But anyway, let's go back to this. Now, the other thing that kind of got the hype and the buzz is that this issue was featured during that 40th HasLab presentation, which was great because it kind of got people excited, looking forward, and this issue is basically almost sold out. It's very difficult to find. I mean, G.I. Joe in itself, when you go up and down the East Coast of the United States, let alone Florida, it is tough to find local comic shops that sell G.I. Joe. Luckily, because of me, like a lot of the comic shops on the East Coast of Central Florida are starting to get G.I. Joe more. And of course, Famous Faces and Funnies, they still have a short stack left. So if you're not able to find this and still would like to get one, please go to the link below and Famous Faces will mail out to you what they have left of their remaining inventory. But again, this is not, I always wait a month so I don't affect sales because I have so much respect for the IDW team. I don't want to infringe on, you know, it's their work, it's their livelihood. So I always wait a month when I do these comic recaps, but doing this has no impact. So that's why I decided to bring this issue to the forefront to showcase to you guys. And I just wanted to give a regular G.I. Joe follower their take on this wonderful presentation. So without further ado, let's take a look at this and talk a little bit more in detail what this is about. Because I think this is going to be great for those that don't follow regularly, that maybe love G.I. Joe in the 80s and 90s and kind of went off to do other things. And this, again, is a great, wonderful presentation for those non-regular fans of the comic series. With that being said, I think the guest panels, and we'll talk about it as I'm flipping through the issues, are mostly people that have worked in G.I. Joe, have been part of the Real American Hero series from the past few years, like Nito Diaz. You guys know I love Nito. He's a good friend now. Robert Atkins, S.L. Gallant, like all the regulars. I was hoping, like, I guess that maybe it's my fault, but I was hoping like other, like the Jim Lees and the Rob Liefeld. Oh, Rob Liefeld did do a page on here as well, but maybe a Todd McFarlane. I know, Robert Kirkman, even Eric Larson or Gleason. Like, I was hoping some of these guys would transition over to, because they all have cited how much Larry Hama and G.I. Joe has impacted their careers as comic personnel. So I was hoping, but I know that's not realistic with all of the, if you're on Team A, you can't work on Team B, or if you're an executive on Team, you know what I'm saying? So, but it was a false sense of hope. But still, what we got is great, and I love it a lot. I enjoy it. The other thing that I think it's worth pointing out is that this is more of a homage to the Silent Interlude, which, if you do the math, it's not technically the 40th anniversary of this iconic comic book. And it goes without saying, there's been so many YouTube videos, articles, even mainstream media has featured it. But sadly, I don't think Modern Comics has given this issue the proper, it's like, oh yeah, and then whatever. But it really is one of the top 5, one of the most impactful comic issues in the last 50 years. It's still holding a place into that. I mean, it was, and I like the editorial that I think Chad Bowers gives in there, so definitely read that. That's probably one of the hidden gems in this whole thing, and we'll cover that when we do the flip through. But Chad did a really good job in that, and I highly recommend people to read that. So without further ado, let's take a look and flip and talk about this wonderful issue. Oh, one more thing before we do our flip through. I'm like, the purpose of me being here is to give you the complete picture and analysis when I do this, recaps or reviewing or what have you. The shine is a little bit slightly diminished, not because number one, it's not the 40th anniversary of the Silent issue in itself. Number two, last year we got the Complete Silence, which was a presentation, a reprinting of issue number 21, along with the seldom but also really important 21 B, where basically it gives you a 21 B. Jeremy Dale drew it out, and he's no longer with us. But again, it's just a wonderful presentation. So it's kind of, they've already done that, so to speak. Just, hear me out here. And I mean, of course, you don't get the Larry Hama cover, but it's already been kind of done with Jeremy Dale's offering and also the reprinting. So yes, I will always support anything G.I. Joe. Once you're a fan of the franchise, no matter what, you're going to be through thick and thin. But I do have to point these things out. If you're not able to find this 40th anniversary, this is basically the next best thing, maybe even better, because it has that Jeremy Dale's 21 B. And again, to know more, I think our good friend Chris at Comic Tropes did a featurette on Jeremy, and I think you should definitely check that out. But essentially, it's the same thing. But again, for those that, I'm not going to go back and do a flip through that I did earlier, but again, Jeremy does the complete, so it's the issue number 21 from different angles. So I definitely recommend picking this up from the IDW website if you haven't. So let's go finally do the flip through. Real quick, I forgot how noisy the Dreamcast is. I don't know if during that introduction segment and my other segments, if you guys have heard the Dreamcast in the background as I have videos playing. That thing is so freaking loud. You forget about that. Anyway, without further ado, this is the cover. This is the one thing that got me all excited. Larry Hama dropped the preview of this cover a few months ago, and boy, it just catches the eye. It is wonderful. This is itself worth getting graded, in my opinion. Just to have this cover and the way it all looks out. And we talked about how technically this isn't the 40th anniversary of the Silent issue, but it is the 40th anniversary of a real American hero. So, you know, it's okay, whatever. It's no big deal. There never could be, you know, there's always a reason to celebrate this wonderful issue and Larry Hama. But again, beautifully done. I just think that this is remarkable. I think he wanted to, he wrote a little bit about it. So if you are, check out Larry, go back to that posting. But he kind of talks about what his desire was and why there was another version of it, but he ended up still going with this one. He liked this one the most. So again, here's the guest panels. Again, a lot of people bought this issues, but and then maybe some people aren't familiar with who the hell these people are, because they just probably see Rob Liefeld and they're like, yeah, that's great. You know, that's the only one that. But all of these guys have big contributors to GIJoe. Dan Schoening, we know that he's currently working on the Saturday morning series, and I said it when he did the special missions for GIJoe and a Real American Hero with Snow Job. I'm like, man, his artwork looks just like a Sunbow. Well, lo and behold, there he is. Nito Diaz, you guys know, regulars know, Nito's a good friend. And now I'm happy to announce that he has been signed on by Marvel to do work on upcoming Marvel. So talk about being called up to the big leagues. Way to go, Nito. We're all proud of you. Of course, Robert Atkins, Ron Joseph, Jamie Sullivan. These guys are all people if you're a regular of the Real American Hero, you know these names. But for those that have not followed since the Marvel eras, that's just a little bit of a 411. Tom Waltz, we know, is the editor. He appeared in that HasLab special, 40th anniversary special, promoting this thing. And right off the bat, we have a wonderful depiction of the very first page. And kick it off by Tommy Feaster. That's another one. You know, I talked about it during our, when we're looking at the complete Silent one-shot offering. Wow, that's a nice panel right there. Well, anyway, like when issue number 21 debuted, it was met with a bit of confusion. People thought that there was a mistake, that, you know, oh, you guys forgot the dialogue box. It was funny, like looking back at the reactions that transpired when issue number 21 debuted. It was, they were writing letters telling Marvel. I think some people even requested for a reprint or refund, saying that I would like one with the words in it this time. It was that much of a game, and that's what game changers do. They change the status quo, awaken the senses, and kind of like change everything around. So the fact that my disappointment in the modern comics, maybe they're going to do one when the real 40. I like this. Look at that. I think, who's this panel? Adam Richards. All right, so it's Casey Maloney. I'm not familiar with it, but that's a nice, taking the action figures for the chess pieces in that scene. That is a nice touch. I like that when I first skimmed through it. I like how Scarlet is drawn. Who's this one? 7. Dan Schoening. So that's no surprise. Again, because the pages aren't labeled, you're going to have to do a lot of flipping to see who drew it. Also, in the back, when you'll see, it'll have a complete art page and who came up with their sketches and stuff like that, and the overall thought process in the panels. And I love that. I mean, not me. My only art thing is I know how to play musical instruments like bass bass. That's basically it. But I always am impressed with art and how people apply that art and their thought process involved. So that's one good thing about this, is that you will see the guest artists' thought process as they go through these iconic panels and recreate them. I like that too. That is nice. Red Ninja. Again, a very important scene. Snake Eyes discovers that Scarlet she is an independent woman. She is definitely, again, G.I. Joe is one of those trailblazers that depicted women not being the damsel in distress. They're more than capable of fighting, contributing, intelligence. It's just there's such, I don't understand why modern comics do not. G.I. Joe can make a comeback, has a place in today's world. It's one of those franchises that is, that could connect with young people today. And it is definitely something that we've talked about on this channel extensively. But wow, I like this one too. Again, when we go to the back of the book, when you see the artist, and then of course reprinting of, I like that, the Arashikage symbol, and Ron Joseph closes it out. That's a nice job, Ron. I like that. That is beautiful. Shit, that could be a poster right there, for all I'm saying. And of course, a reprinting of issue number 21. That's another cool thing that I like, is they actually used the Marvel cover and did it where the complete Silent, they just had like a small picture of that cover along with the Jeremy Dale's 21.B. February 28th, 1984. So, they're acknowledging that this did come out in 1984, not 1982. So, again, like I said, it's more of it's a celebration of a Silent Interlude with the IDW losing the license. Well, hey, take advantage of it now. And especially with Larry Hama coming to the twilight of his career, I'm totally okay. I'm totally fine with it. But just to let people know correctly that this is not the 40th anniversary of the Silent Interlude. And I know I'm flipping through these iconic pages. I like the paper quality. I'm pausing because I think the complete Silent is a little bit more glossier than this offering. But again, that's just someone who's gone through the book several times. That's the little thing I picked up. That in the other one-shots, the reprintings of yearbook 1 through 4, the paper quality is just a little bit more glossier than this one. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a good thing. It's just, it is what it is. I'm just pointing that out. I mean, the other thing, Larry did all the artwork, and he always, that's the one thing with when you talk, he's an artist first and a writer second in his mind. And I'm glad he's always, thought of himself that way. It's really cool. So anyway, here's the meat and potatoes I like. So we have this Chad Bowers editorial piece, and I think this is something everybody should definitely take the time and read. I think Chad has admitted he has never owned an actual copy of issue number 21, but he doesn't want to at this point in his fandom. He's one of those people that has written for G.I. Joe. He's lived off all of his childhood fantasies by being involved in the G.I. Joe franchise. He talks about issue number 21's impact in the world of yesterday as well as today. A lot of things that I touched on during the complete Silent flip through, as well as this. And like many people, he, of course, our friend HCC78, and many of you guys out there have gotten the Arashikage symbol tattooed on. So that's another kind of cool thing. Cover of issue 1, and again, this is the stuff that makes me, lose my shit. I love this stuff. We see who sketched this and what recreating what page in that iconic issue, and you could kind of see the thought process going involved, and I love that. Like how each artist draws their sketch lines and the final product we see earlier, how it matches up with the iconic panels in that iconic issue. I love this shit. This is the stuff. Alex Sanchez is another great GIJoe artist. Brian Sharir is another one. We're going to see them at JoeCon in a few months. I know he's going to show up. And I hope if you guys see me, say hi. I mean, I'll probably be hanging around HCC 788. It's booth a lot. So if you're looking for me, just stop by Hooded Cobra Commander 788's booth, and I will eventually pop up or something. Robert Atkins, we're going to see him at Joe Fest. I like that. See, this is the stuff, man. This is the shit. And of course, the Jeremy Dale. So this was offered, then the Complete Silent after Jeremy had long since passed away. But like I said during the Complete Silent flip through, this is a wonderful compilation piece. It kind of gives you the Silent issue from a just slightly alternative angle. Just the concept alone to recreate that, but put a different spin on it. Jeremy did a wonderful job doing that back in the day, and I think when you get, of course, the Complete Silent, it's definitely worth. I'm glad they included that along with the Silent issue in that, and using guest panels like this was actually, like I said, Rob Liefeld's Dead Game. He kind of was doing the same thing, so nothing new that they offering. But again, just a wonderful job. I like this. It's more like an oil painting, Alex Ross type of wheelhouse. I kind of like how that is interpreted by Alicia Wood. That was a good job, Alicia. Andrew Lee Griffith, another great G.I. Joe artist. I love that. Look at that. I know a lot of modern artists uses computers. It's no longer like the old school pencils and, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's a digital world, but you look at stuff like this and like, man, I love pencil artwork. I think, you know, we all did it in school. Anyway, that is the flip through of this wonderful offering. And we will recap. The next recap we're going to do is issue number 2 in the Saturday morning / Sunbow. That'll be coming up. And I think that's what they're talking about here. So we're going to do a recap of issue number 2, as well as issue number 291 also came out. So we'll do the typical wait 1 month and do the recap for that. So in about a week or so, it'll be ready for that. But this is Shabu Are You. I just thought that this would be a great time. I know many people in the fandom have already picked it up, so it's not impacting sales. And, you know, if you're not, please, Famous Faces, like I said, does have a short stack of these remaining. So if you're not able to find them, IDW, please, Famous Faces will be more than happy. I think they have probably like 5 or 6. So definitely contact Famous Faces and they will mail it out, whatever they have in stock over to you. This is Shabu Are You. Thank you for joining us and happy 40th anniversary, G.I. Joe. We'll see you soon.